What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm Chris Lato, retired F-16 pilot turned UFO investigating YouTuber. I have an exciting video today about the recent shoot down of a spy balloon. It's a surveillance balloon. We have popped the balloon. This is the first kill by the super fighter, the F-22 stealth fighter. I've fought against F-22s in training for several years up in Alaska. They are amazing aircraft, amazing. They fly super high, super fast, and this is their first kill. Amazing. This machine is just unbelievable. The F-22 stealth aircraft. There it is with the doors open, shooting that AIM-9X. So shoot down of this surveillance balloon. The UAP Society has already actually launched 2 weather balloons. Last year in June, we launched 2 balloons, one from Vernal, Utah, and another one from Germany at the same time, essentially. And both balloons went up to over 110,000 feet. So this balloon was at 64,000 feet. Our weather balloons went much higher than that, and that may have been a reason why they delayed shooting this thing down. It may have been just too high, actually. So I go through, analyze the actual video. There are many amazing videos online already made by fighter pilot YouTubers. The fighter pilot YouTubers out there have done some amazing equipment. This is actually a simulated video you're watching right here by Growling Sidewinder. He made this in Digital Combat Simulator. That was my idea when I first saw this. Oh, it'd be cool to recreate this engagement in Digital Combat Simulator. Well, guess what? Growling Sidewinder already did it. He makes DCS videos, and this video is just perfect. And he has the real audio. So we'll hear the real audio, and I'll go through, actually talk through the tactics and glean my analysis from it. Thanks for being here. Let's get to the video. Chris Lato, welcome to Lato Files.
The balloon was somehow able to get past our West Coast anti-balloon defense system, the Seattle Space Needle. But once it was here, we were able to keep an eye on it with our sophisticated tracking technology of going like this.
You can laugh at that, but the general, the one-star general, literally said, when the reporters asked, you know, can we find out where the balloon is? He said, well, the American public has the ability to look up. That's literally what he said.
I know there were questions about why we didn't shoot it down immediately, but we wanted to wait till it was over the coast so that it wouldn't fall on people or go and land on my car.
This is certainly considerations, is when are you going to shoot down the balloon? Good question. Well, let's go through the full engagement. Growling Sidewinder has it with the real audio. Check this out.
And Hunter Eagle, now that we're established at 40, as long as I do not commit, I can saunter at 40 for quite a while. So this is a good sign.
Okay, so these are the 2 F-22s. The only kind of incorrect thing in this video is there shouldn't be any land. Okay, they're 6 miles off the coast, actually between 6 and 12 miles. You can hear them in the communication. They're basically saying, tell us when it's at 6 nautical miles, and then we'll turn back in and shoot it. So I think you just wouldn't see any land. Okay, they'd be over the water. But this is your 2 F-22s. Call sign Frank. The call sign Frank comes from Frank Luke Jr. He was the balloon buster, the Arizona balloon buster. He shot down 14 German balloons back in World War I. So he's famous. They named Luke Air Force Base after him. That's where I did my F-16 training and later went back as an instructor. So here they go. We always fight as at least 2 aircraft. Normally 4 is your actual fighting unit. But here's a 2-ship. So what's interesting here is we're only going to be able to hear the fighter communication, okay, because they're from the air.
Stay a little away, but intermittent all the way throughout these turns.
Package, Frank 1, mistake, Charlie, Zulu, 535, bullseye. 011 15 64,000 heading 140 right.
Okay, so basically that's the flight lead. So he's handling this whole engagement. There's 2 F-22s and he's talking to Eagle Flight. You'll hear him mention Eagle Flight. I believe that's a 2-ship of F-15s that they're coordinating with. So the Air Force is always going to maximize training. Here is a real shoot-down opportunity. So I think there was definitely some political question on who is going to be the pilot to actually get this shoot-down, who's going to coordinate it, and then how are they going to maximize training, right? They're always going to maximize training. So they're going to practice some sort of integration between the 5th gen and the 4th generation fighters. So that's what you hear is they're talking about to Eagle Flight is supporting them as a 2-ship, I'm guessing, of F-15s from Langley, must be from the same base, and going to support them. You also hear Charlie Zulu 535. I think that is actually the balloon, is what they labeled it as the balloon. And then you'll hear Bullseye. So Bullseye is just how we talk about positioning coordinates. So the Bullseye is a point that we agree upon beforehand, like a seeker point normally, and then you talk in polar coordinates off of that. So you hear him say Bullseye 011 15 64,000. That means that this object, the TOI, the balloon, is the TOI, target of interest, is heading 011 for 15 nautical miles from that point, whatever that bullseye point is, we don't know. And the balloon's at 64,000 feet, and it's tracking 140, so it's heading southeast, and it's at 64,000 feet, the TOI. They're going to shoot this thing.
Hey, we're going to need you to back us up because we don't have a high fidelity line on the coastline. Looking for you to provide 6 miles net call when you are observing the TOI at 6 nautical miles.
Okay, so what he's saying is basically in their jet, in their map, they don't have a good line of where the coast is. So they don't have a clear line that could be pre-mission planning. And so what they're asking for is, hey, radar operators who can see everything, so GTC or whatever, they don't actually call them and say their name in this, but it's the radar controllers, it's the combat controllers who are running the intercept as well, or helping. So the pilot is asking, hey, can you tell us when the TOI, the target, is wet, meaning it's past 6 miles away. So they've been given directions to shoot it outside of 6 nautical miles, and I'm guessing inside of 12 nautical miles zone. So 12 nautical miles from the coast is within U.S. waters.
Just an amendment to the game plan, just based on the limited ability for Eagle 1 to point for Frank 1. Eagle 1 will just marshal and commit north in trail of Frank 1. We'll still establish role Frank shooter, Eagle support, but it'll help geometry to help point Huntress. Frank 1 engaged.
Okay, so what he's saying there is he's organizing the attack. Okay, so you have 2 F-22s that are out in front, essentially, that's Frank, and then you have 2 F-15s that are in the back. So they're going to be behind some pre-briefed range. It's probably 10 to 15 nautical miles, something like that. When he's talking about pointing, again, he's talking about coordination between them. So how are they going to actually coordinate on who's targeting this thing, you know, who's targeting it with their radars, and who's going to shoot, etc. So that's what he says there is Frank's the shooter, so he's going to shoot while the other 2 guys are backing them up from behind, essentially. So it's a 4-ship attack. So pretty interesting that they're using F-22s integrated with F-15s, working together in this kind of 5th, 4th gen integration. That was the big thing when I was leaving the Air Force, is how are we going to integrate these fighters? So here they go. And now he says engaged. Engaged means he's starting the attack. So he's going to fight. He's in a fight with this balloon. He's in a desperate fight with this balloon. I'm sure there's stress, right? They know everybody's watching. The president said, let's shoot it down. So obviously something's on the line.
Charlie,
This is all simulated footage, by the way.
Bullseye, 050, 15, 64,000, track east. Frank 1 is proceeding outbound. Copy restriction. Package, restate, TOI 1, Charlie Zulu 535, Bullseye, 050, 15, heading 140, left. Eagle, support, Angels as desired, point TOI 1, Charlie Zulu 5.
Okay, so there he's just kind of saying stuff, you know, clearly you can tell he's under a lot of stress here. He's going to, you know, push the pickle button on a live weapon. So that was what you saw there was the AIM-9X. That's the missile that they're going to use. And those are the doors here. Let me find it. Okay, so the stealth doors, these things are super cool, right? at Mach 1.3. So he says, he actually, in this final call here, he says, I'm doing the run, so I'm engaged, and he tells everybody again what he's doing. So he's 50,000 feet. He's going to be at 1.3 Mach, so it's a supersonic shot. He's going supersonic, shooting this missile up at 50,000 feet. So 50,000 feet is very high for an F-16, right? With our little tiny wings. I've been up there once, barely touched it. And, you know, up that high, it doesn't look like this, okay? What you see here, where you see the clouds and like this. No, up at 50,000 feet, the sky is very dark. So you look up, it's almost like black. It's like this black blue, okay? It's much, much darker than this. It's not going to be this light. This looks like around in the 20s, maybe 30s. So up at 50,000 feet, it's going to be dark. It's going to be that black sky. There's not going to be that much air. And so at 1.3 Mach, what you see is these supersonic doors, okay? These things open because normally they're stealth, okay? Stealth paint, all this stuff. So they open 1.3 Mach, and then this AIM-9X, this is a heat-seeking missile, okay? But the 9X is the newer version, and this actually has this imaging. So it basically is a TV camera, very advanced infrared TV camera, if you will. So it's going to actually image on the target, on the balloon. So this door opens, you see the little seeker here. The seeker will lock on to the balloon, so the pilot will get some indicator. Usually it's a tone like that it's locked on, and then he'll check and he gets a little video image saying, yeah, that looks like a balloon, and then he will shoot, okay? And then this thing will fire. This is a shorter range missile, okay? They have advanced the range, so it can shoot longer. Up at that altitude, man, missiles can shoot really, really far. So going 1.3 Mach, 50,000 feet, there's not much air. This missile can fly really far, okay? So he could have shot it probably a while sooner, okay? But in this case, shoots it, looks like a couple miles away. Let's check the shot out.
Heading 140 left. Eagle support. Angels as desired. Point COI 1. Charlie Zulu 5. Frank. Attack heading 140. Profile 1.3 Mach. Climbing 50K delivery. 5 miles.
1.3 Mach, 50K delivery, climbing at 5 miles. So he's going to shoot around that.
Rank 1, splash 1. That is a K kill. The balloon is completely on his power.
Okay, so he says splash. So when you shoot down a real aircraft, you would say splash. We say that in the simulators. And he says K-kill. That means a complete kill. So there's different types of kill, right? Like there's a functional kill, F kill. There's an M kill, which is a maneuver kill. If the thing totally blows up and it's in pieces, that's a K kill. So that's what he says there. Confirm a K kill. The thing is completely, and I would guess, say destroyed.
Break 1. Eagle 1 appears to be metal chaff cloud, so I guess like metal breaking apart and strewn for an Eagle 1.
Okay, and that was Eagle 1 saying from behind, so they're in trail, so they're probably flying around this chaff cloud, if you will. He says, yeah, it looks like a metal chaff cloud. You know, he's an Eagle pilot, he's used to chaff, seeing chaff out there. So that's what he said, looks like a metal chaff cloud.
Eagle 2. Eagle 1, Frank 1, you have on-scene command. Frank is 210.
Okay, on-scene command is you're in charge of the engagement. Normally that's for a crash. And then you see that aileron roll he did at the end. At least if you shoot something down, I would do an aileron roll, actually, probably. At least in an exercise, that means you're showing everybody that you killed them. They should stop fighting. So that's actually a visual representation when we're training. If you shot someone and you fly by them, you're not on the same radio communication, you can do an aileron roll, shows that you killed them. So Growling Sidewinder added that at the end. And now Ward Carroll, he had the engagement actually from the ground. So let's look at the actual engagement from the ground. Again, another YouTuber. So again, just some amazing videos from YouTubers. So this is from Ward Carroll. Basically the balloon launched from China and then went all the way around, entered the Aleutian Islands, end of January, went into Canada, okay, and then finally went into Idaho. Then Wednesday evening, Billings, Thursday evening, Omaha, Friday evening, St. Louis, and then basically Saturday evening over the coast. It flew over all these bases, and there she is, the balloon. So this is your large balloon, normally helium. Okay, that's the ones we used. We just used regular helium. And it went up, we had to go up very quickly. So it depends how much helium you fill it with. So ours went straight up in a matter of 3 hours, went to 110,000 feet and then popped. Just in that time frame, that limited time frame, only a few hours, it went 80 miles, over 80 miles, 100 miles to the northeast. So these things go very fast. If it gets into the jet stream, you're going to be at 150 knots. Okay, these things can be moving very quickly, and up at altitude, that is quite high. Okay, like I said, 50,000 feet is high for F-16s, very high. F-22s is normal. Fighting against F-22s, man, they are up at that high easily up that high. Supersonic, going Mach 1.3, man, those things are amazing, but you're going to run out of gas quickly. So here is the actual, looks like the image. They have their solar panels on the sides here, and then they have whatever is supposed to be, according to the Chinese, was just civilian meteorological equipment. That's all it is, just for civilian purposes. Of course, the Pentagon says that is not the case. This is atypical equipment on this balloon and the other balloon that they found in Latin America. So this is part of a balloon fleet. The Pentagon says that China is using it to gain information. Are they getting additional information? Well, they already have satellites, okay? So satellites are already flying over all of the countries. What's the negative of a satellite is it goes over the horizon very quickly, okay? Satellites go around the Earth, low Earth orbit go around the Earth every 90 minutes. So imagine only a couple minutes will be passing over a location, so very difficult to get long-term surveillance. These strategic assets are difficult to move. According to the Pentagon, they had propellers on these dirigibles, right? These surveillance, these spy balloons. They had propellers, so it was able to move around. I will say it's not going to move around that much, I promise. This thing is basically just floating in the wind. I don't know how many propellers you want to throw on it. Man, it's not going to do much in 150 knots of wind up in the jet stream. So, yeah, I would say that must have caused some issues for it, why they didn't shoot it down. It's probably up over 100,000 feet, right? As that helium goes down, right, as it basically loses helium, the balloon's going to descend. And now we find it down at 64,000 feet, which seems pretty low to me, actually, for one of these surveillance balloons. This is that 9X Seeker, right? I'm talking about advanced imaging. When I was actually fighting the F-22s, they had the old AIM-9. They actually couldn't, with those fancy doors, right? Those doors that open, that was new technology, quite new technology. They didn't even have the 9X. They could only put in the old 9 mic. 9 Lima mic is the old infrared stuff. So not even the new one. Good to see that. According to the ShootDown, though, they did not have the fuse. So there was no weapon. Okay, this is normally your warhead. This is going to explode out in a fragmentation. So it's just going to frag. That's all it is. You're not going to see a giant explosion like in the simulation there. All you're going to see is a puff of white smoke, and then this is like a grenade. So this is all fragged, and it will just, anything within 150 feet, it's going to put holes, a lot of holes through it. So basically that's how it works. And you see, they took that out. From what I understand is there was no warhead, there was no explosive. It just went through it like an arrow, going very fast. These things are well made. Who knows, probably $1 million for one of these, be my guess. I saw $400,000. I think that's quite low. I bet around $1 million for one of these AIM-9Xs. Also interesting here is the contrails, okay? The contrails is water, basically water vapor coming out as ice. So when you're up, if the temperature's cold enough, and not too cold, then you will have a contrail band. Usually it's up quite high. I'm kind of surprised it was up this high, actually, but up at 60,000 feet now, you do have the contrails, and they're very easy to see. You can see those Raptors flying around 1.3 Mach. It's just like drawing a line in the sky. And you'll see here the missile actually has its own contrail, but it goes out. Okay, the missile engine, that rocket engine, only burns for a few seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds is what I would guess. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then you'll see that contrail go out, and that's what missiles look like. Without that contrail is impossible to see. So they basically just disappear, and then you see it actually impact. So yeah, there's the contrail from the missile, goes away, and now it would have impacted there. Okay, you see it again. Here's the F-22. It shoots, rocket motor burns out, and then you see it impact. And there's the F-22 as the balloon falls. So this is the real video. There's just some amazing videos out there. Look at this, watch this. Boom, right through the bottom. And then this whole thing kind of destroys like dust. That's what we noticed too. When we were launching the balloon in Vernal, when you touch it, you have to wear special gloves because it expands so much, right? At the surface, it looks like just a normal sized balloon, maybe 3 meters across. But up at altitude now, this could be 12 meters across. So it expands by 5, 6, maybe 10-fold. And it's made out of this special material. It has like this weird dust on it, or like this chalk. And if you touch it, it can mess that up. And if you get your oil on the balloon, actually, then that can cause a little hole and a little rip, and it can rip. So you don't touch the balloon at all. You wear these plastic gloves. And what we're seeing here is that kind of chalky dust stuff blowing apart there. Awesome. This is what Biden said after. Let's check this out.
On Wednesday, when I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
So why didn't they shoot it down earlier? I've already mentioned a couple points. Is first, these things are quite high. Okay, so shooting something down up that high, if it's at 110,000 feet now, that's basically another 8 miles up. So now you do have issues with missiles. You got to use special missiles. The other thing is, where is this thing? Hitting a moving target's quite difficult. We've tried to shoot ships. I've actually gone after ships, and just the fact that this thing can move up to 50 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour, it can change very quickly. Yeah, you have forecasted winds, but now you have to coordinate across these vast areas. And now, where are you going to shoot it down? So launching weapons over mainland US is not like a normal thing. We don't normally launch missiles. So I think really probably that was the biggest reason, is they just don't want to launch live missiles over the US. It didn't happen to pass through like a missile range that they could use, or a good range for fighters that was over, like farmland or public land. So I think that's why they just waited for over water. And how much information is this balloon really getting? Not much, okay? They knew it was over their facilities. They knew it's over our facilities at that point, just like they do with the satellites. Okay, if we know a Chinese satellite's flying overhead, we're not gonna do our most advanced tests of our new jets. So they are gonna wait. And I think they covered up. They did say they took precautions. So I think they assessed, are we really gonna lose any data? Is the Chinese really gonna get any sensitive military data? No. But we could blow something up over US land. It could land on a house or something and make it even worse. Let's just shoot it down over the water and then try and collect it there. And we can get some tactical advantage, get some practice doing our real ops, coordinating with F-22s and F-15s. So why would you use space balloons? Space balloons, if you think about it, like I already mentioned, is they're gonna sit there for a long time, up high. So they have persistent surveillance. They're there for a long period of time, like drones, even longer than drones. And it's a burgeoning industry. If you notice, people are going to be launched in space balloons this decade, without a doubt. So space balloons are a thing, right? Unfortunately, it looks like the first main contractors, because we got into our own weather balloon industry, right? We've launched 2 balloons, UAP Society. Curious if anyone else has. We've gotten into that business, and I can tell you, primarily, it's going to be military contractors. That's what they're going to use, surveillance, right? It's going to be border surveillance, more stuff like this, instead of working on collaborative idea. What about environmental surveillance? We could use it, not just the military industrial complex, but talking to these space balloon companies, looks like it's all military contracts. That's what's coming out. I would love to see that change. And think about UAPs, learning about the environment, learning about our world together in a collaborative way. It doesn't always need to be competitively for weapons or for security. Okay, maybe we could work together. What if the Chinese are actually using these for meteorological reasons? What if they're telling the truth? Do I believe them? Probably not, but maybe. Because of course, we keep pushing on this military background. It'll never backfire, right? This never backfires, of course. As far as the actual engagement, I thought it was quite interesting. It was very cool to see F-22 finally getting a shoot down. That jet really is unbelievable, man. If I was in a real fight, like against China or something, I would be in an F-22 or an F-35 if I wanted to actually do something on the ground. Like you saw, F-22 is still an air-to-air fighter, right? They didn't have the little line drawn in their map, but they coordinated with. I'm sure we still send our best pilots there, and they finally got a kill. So happy for the F-22. I'm glad everything worked out. Interesting stuff on space balloons. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like this video if you did like this content, a little different from my normal content, and then subscribe to get future notifications. I release a video at least every Friday. I mentioned UAP Society. You can check out our other channel. I interview Sky 360 developer Lionel Lemar, and basically he shows how we're going to get persistent. We'll get our own persistent cameras on the ground looking up. And that would be great if we actually had some video of this as well to cross-check that. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you do have videos of UAPs or other cool videos, come to our Discord. It's a UAP Society Discord. Remember, you can always help by buying merch. And then if you want backstage access, early access to videos as well as other posts, then you can support the channel at patreon.com/Chris Lato. Get your name up next to all these amazing people. Have a great day. Peace.